Ahead from the vault, flames a mile high after a train derails, and it's all caught on camera. Plus, local residents on the warpath after a Native American tribe proposes building a casino in the country. And
well, I think we better get going before we get run over by a house.
A new lease on life for one of the oldest homes in Champaign County. All that and our special guest, Ed Mason. Captain Eddie reflects on commercials, kids, and Sheriff Sid.
That was the highlight of my working career, working with these people.
Next, from the vault.
The stories that made news and made history, the places that matter to us, and the people who make Central Illinois home. Join us from the vault.
Welcome, I'm Matt Metcalf. Imagine being at work or out in the field when all of a sudden you hear a boom and the earth starts to shake. That's how some Central Illinoisans described the day when a B&O train jumped the tracks and derailed several cars. But that was just the beginning. Those cars were filled with a flammable chemical that hours later would explode, and it was all caught on tape. WCIA's Cheryl Pettis filed this story from Murdoch in Douglas County, 1983.
Murdoch is a small community here in Douglas County. Nice, quiet, about 200 people, maybe a few more. But after last night, it was no longer tranquil. Washington officials were calling, and New York news teams wanted to know what had happened here. It was a massive explosion, one unlike any the townspeople had ever witnessed. A holocaust, one resident said. Many at first thought it was the old Murdoch coal mine, but it wasn't. 11 cars of a Baltimore and Ohio freight train carrying flammable chemicals derailed about a quarter of a mile east of the mine. Soon after the derailment, a tanker of propane gas burst into flames. Volunteer firefighter Roy Bauer was near the scene.
The fire was only on one car at the time, and the boys at the truck, they had started putting water on it, and it got too hot and they just pulled back.
But that wasn't the final chapter of the Murdoch story. The community would again be shaken. Witnesses say the second explosion, which occurred about 2 minutes till 10, was more terrifying than the first. This tanker was isobutane. The charred remains of a propane tanker had been catapulted about 3/4 of a mile from the scene. Officials say that is the longest distance on record. Today, county and state authorities were still on the scene, watching and waiting. Do we know what caused the derailment?
No, at this point, we're still investigating that.
The danger may be over, but officials are still monitoring the scene. Cheryl Pettis, Channel 3 News, Murdoch.
So what did cause that train to roll? I contacted the National Transportation Safety Board, and they highlighted 2 possible causes. First, an improperly secured joint bar, which joins 2 tracks together, as you see in the picture here, and the failure of the train personnel to recognize a component malfunction as hazardous. Some people like a quiet life in the country, while others like the hustle and bustle of the city. So what happened when a Native American tribe tried to bring the bright lights of a casino to Ford County? Well, some local residents had a few things to say about that. Joe Mason had this story in August 2000.
The bright lights of Las Vegas are light years away from the city of Paxton, which doesn't even have one stoplight.
Sure, it's a shock. It's hard to imagine.
In this small community where the closest thing to casino gambling can be bought at Radio Shack, people are at odds.
I think it takes away from the family atmosphere.
A Native American tribe wants to build a casino near or in the city, but that's left many people with mixed feelings.
We need industry here, but I'm just not so sure that we need something like that.
Today, a local group called Say No, Stop the Casino voiced their opposition to the project.
We feel like a casino is a terrible idea for our community.
Rich Porter is the group organizer.
3 years after a casino comes to an area, there's a dramatic increase in crime, there's a dramatic increase in business closures, and there's a dramatic increase in social welfare problems. And when I say social welfare, I mean family problems as well as just plain old people that can't afford to live anymore.
So for now, the best place to get a roll of quarters is at the bank, and the best place to get chips is still at the convenience store.
Well, I think a lot of people think it's a big joke. You know, they just don't take it serious, you know.
But the Miami Indians were quite serious. Despite having pushed to reclaim land in Illinois as early as the mid-1990s, they chose to forego this claim in Ford County. Still to come, seeing a historic house on the move. It's all about saving history 1 foot at a time. But next, the end of an era as Central Illinois hangs up one of its last party lines.
From the Vault, celebrating the rich heritage of Central Illinois. Sponsored by Sunset Funeral Homes. Remember, celebrate, heal.
Long before personal cell phones, landline home phones were the norm. But before everybody had their own phone number, small towns shared just a few lines called party lines. WCIA's Paul Davis filed a report in December 1968 from Danforth in Iroquois County, a small town that was about to make a big conversion from party lines to direct dial phones.
Up a long flight of stairs, in an extra-large room, one of the last manually operated telephone switchboards is entering its last year of operation. In October, Mid-Continent of Brand 2 bought the Danforth Telephone Exchange, which had been a mutual service of the 280 customers. Now they're preparing the conversion to dial. I talked with Chief Operator Helen Johnson.
Do you personally enjoy having the human element in the telephone service?
Well, I always did. I think the other girls did too, because you do have a lot of friends, you know everybody by their first name. You don't even have to ask them what their number is, you know.
You're still on the system of ringing shorts and longs, aren't you?
Yes, we are. We're still ringing the shorts and the longs, and we also have some people think we should call out the number. Get that in.
How could you do that?
Well, if we ring their number, they expect us to call their number out on the line so they'll know it's their ring. Waiting. Are you through? Sometimes you know you're too busy, you can't do it.
But do you have a lot of eavesdropping on these party lines?
Yes, I think there's quite a little. Waiting. At least that's what we're told.
The new system will be all private lines.
Everything will be private lines. That'll all be different. Are you waiting? Are you through? Danforth. Thank you.
What service do you think an operator can provide people that the new dial cannot provide?
Well, I think to the older people, you know, they kind of depend on an operator. And I think the older ones are going to find it harder to get their calls through and to get this personal service that you do give at a telephone company. I don't know that the others will, but that's the way we feel, that it's the older people that are going to miss it.
4 operators man the switchboard 24 hours a day. The night operator can use a hide-a-bed to catch 40 winks. A bell will summon her to the headset. The bell stimulated by the crank phones still in use.
You function as a fire department and as an ambulance service and all sorts of things, don't you?
Yes, we sure do. We get out the firemen, and if anybody's ill or anything like that, we get the ambulance and call a doctor. Of course, that's all going to be changed when they go dial. They may have to have an answering service for some of this, or a fire phone.
Only a handful of manual switchboards remain in Illinois. And to keep up with the new services in this age of automation, they can't last much longer.
Still to come, we are visiting with the one and only Captain Eddie. Ed Mason joins us from the vault. Plus, passionate people can move mountains. In this case, they moved a house.
From the Vault, celebrating the stories and people you remember from Central Illinois. Sponsored by Lohman Ray Insurance Group, specialized home, auto, and farm insurance for Central Illinois.
In 1975, new development threatened one of the oldest houses in Champaign County, but rather than lose it, some concerned citizens moved it. Here's WCIA's Stan Childress.
This spot here at Leo Park in Urbana is where it will go. This vacant spot on Springfield Avenue in Urbana is where it came from. And here it comes, a Civil War era house that the Champaign County Historical Museum thought quite a bit worth saving. What is the significance, the historical significance of the house itself?
This house, we believe, is the last example of Greek Revival architecture, residential architecture, in Champaign-Urbana, possibly in Champaign County. And so it's important to save historically and architecturally.
Well, I think we better get going before we get run over by a house. How much is it costing the museum to get the house moved?
The move is costing $12,300, including the foundation. And we have had some donated services and some grants which have helped with it. And a couple people came in at the last minute and made a loan so that we were able to raise enough money to do it. But we're still collecting money for it.
Perhaps the final word to be said about this 65-ton Greek Revival cottage is that old houses don't die, they just move on. Reporting from Urbana, this is Stan Childress.
Joining us now from the vault, a man who has 40 years of television experience, and a lot of folks at Central Illinois would recognize him as Captain Eddie. Joining us is Ed Mason. It's nice to have you, sir.
Thank you, Matt, and good to be here, buddy.
Tell me a little bit about Captain Eddie.
They put a show on called Popeye Circus, and I was the ringmaster. I had the boots, and I had the coat, and the whistle, and the show started. I'd blow the whistle, and I'd say it's Popeye Circus, and I had a cohort, Ruffles the Clown, and he had a St. Bernard dog, and he thought it'd be a good idea to construct a cart. Chesty Potato Chips was our sponsor at the time, and fill it with Chesty products. Then hitch that dog to that cart, and then when he made his entrance, he'd bring that dog out with the cart. Well, it was a good idea, except when he brought that dog out, mayhem developed in the studio. The kids were scared to death of that dog, and they started screaming. The dog got excited, tipped over the Chesty cart, while he was out there trying to corral that dog, and the kids were screaming and running all over the studio. Needless to say, that was the last time we used the dog. When he left, Ruffles left, and then I took over a thing, and it became the Little Rascals. Meeting the children was a lot of fun. And we'd interview them. We'd go down the rows and say, who would you like to talk to today, you know? And they'd say, well, Grandpa, Grandma, and
you did a lot of work behind the scenes as well, and I think we have a neat picture of you in here at a WCIA camera.
Well, my heart was in production. I loved directing, producing, writing. This station was so neat. We had a wonderful group of people who were learning television. That was the highlight of my working career, working with these people. And I can name a bunch of them. Sheriff Sid he was on the air too. He wore a cowboy outfit and the guns. Very talented guy and a wonderful person. I have a story about him. He was on his way home one day, and a car passed him pretty fast, and Sid had his cowboy outfit on with his pistols. And he pulled the guy over and gave him a citizen's arrest. And we all thought, well, I bet you can't believe what that guy said when he got home. You would not believe I'd just been arrested by Sheriff Sid. You know, he would do that kind of thing.
You did not originally want to be on camera, or did you?
Well, I'll tell you, I hadn't thought much about it, and the 6 o'clock news was sponsored by Standard Oil. And somebody came to me and said, we need somebody to do a Atlas tire commercial. Well, I said, I've never tried anything like that, but I'll be glad to do it. and did the on-the-air for Eisner Foods for many years, and Pepsi-Cola, and Chesty potato chips.
In those days, commercials were live during the show,
You better
right?
believe it, yeah.
Yeah, so when you get the cheek flutter or something goes wrong, how did you keep your composure? We would just do another take nowadays.
Right. Well, you just have to go on, you know. And of course, I could just see my whole face upside down, but obviously it didn't show that much. But I was rather nervous on that first one.
Sure. We're talking with the one and only Ed Mason today from The Vault, and coming up, we're going to hear more about the Hop and his interview with Margaret Whiting. Stay with us.
The stories and people you remember from Central Illinois. Once again, from The Vault with Matt Metcalf.
Hi, this is Ed Mason. For music, variety, and dancing fun, join us at the Hop this afternoon at 5:30.
From The Vault, now the one and only Ed Mason, Captain Eddie, and the host of The Hop. Tell me a little bit about The Hop for folks who might not be familiar with that legendary program.
Well, the Hop was originally started by John Coleman. Young men and women from all over the Channel 3 area would come on and dance. And we had a Hop secretary, and the school would send in, and they'd make the necessary arrangements and the dates and so forth.
And so specific schools would come to
Yes,
the studio.
right.
How neat.
And we had most of the schools from the area, the high school people. And when it started, that was really the thing to do. I mean, a lot of them really enjoyed that.
You had interviewed a woman by the name of Margaret Whiting, who actually very well-known singer, but also someone to whom you developed a special connection because of a song she had sung.
She had a song called A Tree in the Meadow, and it was a great tune, and it was one of our songs. You know, you had our songs with your friend. But she came on, she was doing Gypsy down in Sullivan at the Little Theater, and we had a nice interview, and then I surprised her. She and Mel Torme had cut an album called Broadway Right Now. I pantomimed Mel Torme, and of course she did pantomime her own. And it came out pretty well, and we had a lot of fun with that. And real nice lady, and I was thrilled to meet her because she was one of my idols when I was growing up.
So you look back on these days, what do you remember the most?
I loved the people. I loved television that was then. Of course, it was live, and you really had to be on the ball. But mainly the people and learning television with all the rest of them. And everybody working together. It was a lot of fun. We had fun doing it.
Fun for you, and I'm sure fun for the folks at home who are getting the opportunity to watch this amazing technology develop right here in Central Illinois. Yeah. Ed Mason, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
You're quite welcome.
It's the one and only Captain Eddie. Ed Mason, also host of The Hop. For this extended interview, visit our website so you can hear all the great stories that Ed is sharing with us today. So as you heard Ed Mason mention, back in the old days, commercials were done live during programming. So we pulled out an example from the early 1960s about Schlitz beer.
I'm Gene Robinson for Schlitz. One of the noticeable things about a sports champion is the ease with which he performs. It's hard to realize that he isn't born with all his skill. The fact is, he has to develop his natural abilities through years of practice, expert coaching, and self-discipline. Almost everything in the championship class develops the same way. Take Schlitz, for instance. Ever since its founding 110 years ago, the Schlitz Brewery has taken the finest ingredients, combined them with vast technical skills, and added the vital sparks of patience and hard work. The result? A beer of true championship quality. This sparkling beverage, enjoyed by so many, Schlitz of Milwaukee. Keep in mind when you buy Schlitz that you enjoy quality, that you receive full value in every light, flavorful sip. The kiss of the hops refreshment in Schlitz is no accident. It's the intentional result of expert brewing. So stock up with these handy 6-packs of the 12-ounce cans so you'll always have plenty of Schlitz around to brighten your leisure hours. Know the real joy of good living. Move up to Schlitz.
Definitely another gem from the vault. There's lots more great historic video to watch. Just go to our website. We update the content regularly. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Matt Metcalf. We'll see you next time from the vault.